such as shock, so it is important to treat the wound quickly and carefully. You may need to call 999 or 112 for emergency care, or treat the casualty for shock. Although we have covered shock in another video, when dealing with serious bleeding, part of the treatment is of course to also treat for shock. Our blood volume varies with our size, so a child has much less blood than an adult. A rule of thumb is that we have around 1 pint of blood per stone in body weight, but this rule doesn't work if the casualty is overweight. Our body compensates for blood loss by closing the supply to non-emergency areas such as the skin and digestive system, and speeds up the heart to maintain blood pressure. There is a limit to how fast the heart can go and how many blood vessels can close, so the body cannot compensate after 1/3 of the blood is lost. Beyond this, blood pressure falls quickly and the brain is starved of oxygen. Types of bleeding. An arterial bleed is blood travelling directly from the heart through our arteries, so this type of bleed would spurt in time with the heartbeat. Blood loss is rapid and can be life-threatening in just 2 minutes. A venous bleed is described as bleeding from the veins. Veins are not under direct pressure from the heart, but they carry the same volume of blood as the arteries. Bleeding from a major vein will flow profusely and is life-threatening. A capillary bleed occurs in all wounds. Although the flow may appear fast at first, blood loss is usually slight and is easily controlled. Bleeding from a capillary could be described as a trickle of blood. So how do we treat serious bleeding? Sit or lay. Sit or lay the casualty down, appropriate to the location of the wound and the extent of their bleeding. Examine. Very quickly note the type of bleeding, arterial, venous or capillary. Identify the exact point of bleeding so that you can apply pressure to the right spot. The casualty can help whilst you locate the first aid kit. Look for foreign objects such as glass in the wound. Pressure. Apply pressure to the point of bleeding continuously for 10 minutes. A deep wound may need packing to stop the bleed. If there is an embedded object, only apply pressure at either side and do not try to remove it. Dress. You may be able to put a dressing on immediately and apply direct pressure over it. A dressing should be sterile and just large enough to cover the wound. The dressing should not restrict blood flow to the rest of the limb. Check the circulation at the far side of the dressing. For example, if the injury is on the arm, you could apply pressure to one of the casualty's fingers for a couple of seconds. As you release the pressure, you should notice their natural colour return. If the dressing becomes saturated, then leave it in place and put another dressing on top and apply extra direct pressure by hand. If this doesn't work, remove the dressings and start again, ensuring you are applying direct pressure to the exact point of bleeding. If you are trained and feel confident, you may need to pack a wound or even apply a tourniquet. Ensure you understand how these work and how to perform them before doing so. We shall cover these in a future video. Things to remember. When dealing with serious bleeding, wear gloves if available. Remove or cut away clothing from around the wound. Check for objects in the wound, but do not remove them. Apply pressure on either side of the wound. If there is no objects in the wound, apply direct pressure. Call 999 or 112 for emergency help. Secure the dressing with bandages. Treat the casualty for shock. Support the injured area, maybe use a sling. Monitor the casualty's level of response until emergency help arrives. And that is how we treat serious bleeding.